the emotional bank account. Dr. Stephen Covey taught this. He said that every time you interact with someone, whether you know them or not, we tend to keep an accounting of our emotions with them. So if they do something that we like or something that's favorable, we would put a deposit in that account with them. And if they do something negative, then obviously that would be a withdrawal. Now, a couple of deposits or a couple of withdrawals really don't make a huge difference in how we interact with that person, but it does over time. Have you ever noticed that if you're friends with someone at work and they occasionally let you down, they come to you and they're sorry that they didn't get something done, or they apologize because some commitment didn't come through, and very often they'll say something like, "Oh, geez, I really hate to do this. I knew I said I'd do it, but here's all these factors that are in play, and I really wish that I'd gotten it to you, but I didn't." Now, if you're friends with that person, how do you react? Usually you think, "Oh, okay, well, you know what? These things happen. Don't worry about it. Let's just move on." Now, have you ever noticed that if there's someone who you don't get along with very well, and they bring to you the exact same level of offense, we'll call it, where they didn't get something done and they let you down, how that can instantly be received as evidence as to why they're no good. "Oh, great, thanks a lot. Look what happened." And then maybe you'll go and talk to somebody and say, "Oh, can you believe this? So-and-so didn't come through." And really, it doesn't make sense when you think about it, because the offense is exactly the same as the one that the person you're friends with made. I don't know if you've ever thought about that. Well, the emotional bank account can explain a lot of that. If you've got a positive balance with somebody and you've made lots of deposits, or they've made lots of deposits with you, and they make a withdrawal, they let you down. Well, if you've still got a very solid, healthy, positive balance, it's not so hard to take. You still feel good about that person. Meanwhile, the person you're not getting along with, where you've got maybe an overdrawn account, they've made a lot of withdrawals and not put too many deposits in for you, and they take another withdrawal by letting you down, that is particularly irritating. That makes it really hard to forgive, because you're already in a precarious situation with them emotionally. So the emotional bank account is just one way to think about keeping the morale meter high. It means that, first of all, it's really helpful at separating the person from the problem if you adopt a new language. When somebody offends you now, instead of saying, "You jerk, why would you say that to me?" You never know why they said what they said. They might have meant it as a nice way. And that's another thing about the emotional bank account. The receiver gets to decide if something is a positive or a negative, if it's a deposit or withdrawal. If I say to you something that I fully intend to be a joke, and I would only say to somebody who I like, and I were to go to you and say, "Hey, nice shirt," and I thought I was being sarcastic and collegial and friendly, if you received it as a negative, then it's a negative. It's a withdrawal. So the receiver decides whether something's a deposit or a withdrawal. And that's important to keep in mind too, because you can make withdrawals with people and never interact with them at all. You could have a dressing down of somebody in your office where you really tell them off and maybe act inappropriately, and you think you're having an exchange with one person, but everybody else who's watching you is deciding whether your interaction is appropriate or not. And if they think that you're acting inappropriately to anybody else, a colleague, a friend, or just a stranger, if they see it as a withdrawal, you've just made a big withdrawal with a bunch of people that you're not even talking to. So that's pretty important to think about how that emotional bank account works. And if you say the word withdrawal, well, that's a great way to separate the person from the problem. You can all of a sudden let someone know that you're not cool with what they just said or did, and it doesn't attack them, and it gives you a chance to have some constructive conversation. So that's why you should care, because someone with high self-esteem is easy to deal with, more productive, and if you want your life to be easier, surround yourself with people who feel good about themselves. Now, I'm not talking about false praise or compliment bombing people. I'm talking about legitimately finding things that you can support people with. And then when you do that, that means what you're striving for is respect. You're looking for reasons to respect people and treat them well.